Hey guys, Mr. Bostic here. Just wanted to produce a little bit of a I guess kind of a how-to video for making slideshows. Some guys got back to me and let me know that they really weren't sure how to do that, and it's a pretty easy process. I think you should have some fun doing it. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, assume that my topic was Cicero, right? Now, if I went to Google and I just happened to look him up, so we'll look up Marcus Tullius Cicero. Notice the first things that come up are first the Wikipedia page, as we see here, right? One of the listed things that you could use as a source. And lo and behold, right below that, the Encyclopedia Britannica page on Marcus Tullius Cicero. So if you still are in the process of needing to do some of your research, chances are for most of the topics we have, those will be some of the first pages that will come up. Sorry, my internet connection is a little bit slow, but they're looking him up. Here we go. Right? So that's the first step. Of course, you want to do your research, get a grasp on your topic, know what kind of things you want to highlight in your 10 to 20 slides, right? And, chances are in here you'll also see some images thrown in, at least on the side, right? That might give you an idea of some things that you'd want to include. I wouldn't just copy whatever images they use. The image process is really quite simple. So let's go ahead and get started straight up on the how to make a slideshow, right? If you don't have PowerPoint, that's fine. You can do this through Google. You go over here to these squares and you click on them. You go down to Drive and click on it, and that will pull up your drive. Now, I believe to do that you have to be signed in. Don't know if you have to have Gmail as an email address, but it shouldn't be hard to get to Drive. I'm sure most of you probably use that already. Go here and click New, and down to where it says Google Slides, and just click Google Slides. Now, this is Google's free version of the Microsoft PowerPoint that you'll hear people use. All right. Now, if we go here to this issue of background, right? Well, that's going to be what they expect, because most of the time you'd be starting, and you guys need to start with a title slide. Right? So here they're giving you themes that you could use, and this is just sort of a pre-set up or a series of pre-set up themes you could use to kind of visually make your thing appealing. I mean, you can try to use one of those if you'd like. I mean, if you notice the differences, like the background color, or just different fonts and setups and layouts that kind of make it more than just plain Jane white. Right? I typically don't use those, but what I often do use, as you guys would have noticed, is a background image. Right? So if you hit background, as I just did, it gives you a little pop-up. You say choose image. And since this is a Roman research project, let's go to I think unless you happen to have images that you've already found and saved locally, just say Google image search and type what you want to search. I think for us, let's just put ancient Rome for the moment. And it pops up a number of images for us. You can look through whatever you search and find the one that seems best appealing. But I think, one for a title page, you'd want to find something that looks interesting as a background image. So let's use this one. It's got some color and also has some sky, so that gives you a little background where you can write in your title. All right. Let's see here. May take a second to download that. There we go. Done. Right now, it tells you where to add your title. For us, we're just going to have Cicero. The title, I'm going to use all caps. All right. Now, plain Jane Black is a little boring, right? So since it's a title page, I'm going to take that and do a little adaptation, right? So I just highlight the word that I'm adapting. First, I'm going to make it bigger. So I could either type in a number if I wanted to. Let's say, well, let's use 90. See how that looks. Right? That's pretty big, and it fits pretty well as well. Let's Let's make it a little more interesting. We'll make it bold. And let's see. Let's look at the colors we could choose. How about we choose a green, right? Down here, for the subtitle, the perfect thing to add for your subtitle is your name, right? So you might type by, it's going to, oops, we're still with all caps. And then your name, right? Now, strictly speaking, the by shouldn't be capitalized. You can go back and highlight that, take away the capital. But this gray, notice that kind of disappears. So you can change the color of that too. Let's make that one maroon, right? You can move these things around if you want. Since they're not quite perfectly situated in your clearing zone, you can squeeze this to the left a little bit. Move it around to where it seems to fit your image. You can make that window a little bit smaller if you want to also. Now you got a little bit more room to play with where you put your name so it's visible, right? You get to move things around, right? You can move them, you can resize them, etc. What they give you to begin with is just a starting point, right? Now, once you've got your title page set up, you're going to need to start adding new slides, right? So here, the plus button, you can just hit it straight away and it gives you a new slide, or you can hit this down arrow and look at the kind of setup you're going to want as a preformed thing. Right? Sometimes you might have two things to compare side by side. So you have a title and then two different columns, each with its own heading, right? Many times, and I think probably most of the time for you guys, here, one column where you got some text and then a lot of space for a picture is a good setup for a slide. But it fits, you make it fit what you need to put on that slide, right? So here's our new slide after I click that button. Click to add a title, click to add text, which I can do. But I also want to add an image, right? So instead of uploading one from my computer, I'm just going to search the web. And notice it very conveniently over here on the side, it gives me that Google image search. I just tell it what I want to find. So let's write Cicero. Okay. So once again, my slow connection is making it take a while. Okay, so I get a lot of different images. Notice many of these are different photographs of the same carved Roman bust statue, or different copies of the same ancient bust statue. Some are sketch drawings or etchings. Here's one that came out of a book. You're going to get random things showing up here too. I mean, use judgment, right? Try to make sure that the images you include actually do represent the person or the thing that you're dealing with, and don't just happen to be something that Google thinks of, because Google will sometimes throw you images like this where clearly these American soldiers don't have a lot to do with ancient Roman Cicero, right? So just use good judgment. Say, let's choose this one, and we'll insert that. You can choose more than one if you want, but you probably don't want to get it too complicated, right? Now, since this throws him in this direction, you can move him. Notice you go near the edge, and it gives you the four-way directional arrow. So we can grab that and just move it where we want it. We can also resize it if we wanted to. If for some reason we wanted to add more images later, we can just come up here, grab the corner, and it will tend to expect on an image like this that it's just going to keep the same dimensions and ratios. All right. Now, say we wanted to have, for some reason, just throw in a few different functions here. A shape. You can have a standard kind of shape out of these options, right? Say if you wanted to have a circle, you just hold down and pull it the direction you want. It can be a narrow oval, a flattened oval, a straight up circle, right? Now, one easy trick, if you don't know this one, is just for undo. If you don't like what you just did for any function or most functions, if you hold Control and hit Z, it disappears, right? So say I didn't like that. I want to go back and I want to redo it more perfectly. If I hold Shift while I'm doing this, it's always going to be a perfect circle, right? And that's a handy little tool, right? But I don't really want a circle. Let's do instead a line. It can be a line, it can be an arrow, right? So say I wanted to point to Cicero. That gives us an arrow. Say that, oh, that's too skinny, right? How can I make that bigger? Well, let's see here. There is a function to make it larger. See the line weight? I don't want 1 point. Let's do 8 points. You get a much more visible arrow, right? You have lots of quick, handy built-in functions like that. Say I want, you could do an arrow this way. Maybe I want a curved arrow. Right? Just hold down, and it gives me the dimensional arrow that I want. Let go, and you get that kind of two-dimensional color. You get a lot of interesting functions and quick things you can throw in to relate various images to each other, or certain images to the text, or whatever kind of thing you think that you're going to need. I don't expect you'll need a ton of that kind of stuff, but whatever you want to do, creatively play around with it. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to get rid of this arrow also. And I think I'm going to put my picture back to larger. I don't see any reason to cram it around or make it tiny. All right, let's see here. I need that to be that in the corner, that diagonal line. I hold it back out. Notice I get up to the edge and it goes red for me. So just let me know what's fitting and what isn't. Right? And so there we go. Right? Now I can change these presets for clicking to add a title. Right? So say I go back to, it's a title, so go back to using all caps. Right? I can change that if I want to. It can be multiple lines. I got a lot of options, of course, just the same way that we had on the title page. If I don't want that font, go up here where it says Arial, that's their preset. But I could give it a different font if I wanted to. For example, this happens to be one that I have, right? If I wanted to use that font, and then since it's kind of small, say I wanted to increase its size, right? Lots of easy things you can do to personalize this. And then the more personalized and kind of put together it is, the nicer the appeal, right? Here, once you want to add your information, you just start typing your information. Of course, that's not real, but this is just an experiment. All right, guys. I hope that this helps you. I mean, remember, up here to add a new, if you just click the button, it's going to add the same kind of thing you added last time, right? If you click, having selected from that little drop-down arrow, you can get a different kind. For example, you might want, I don't know, you might want this double kind, right? And so you added a new one. If you need to erase one, you can right-click it and hit delete, and that will get rid of that slide altogether, right? If you want to move them around, you can grab one slide and pull it down underneath another, right? So you have a lot of flexibility here. Play around with it. Try to make sure that you understand. You can one nice thing about Google Docs, or in this case Google Slides, is that it's constantly saving for you. You can check up here, see the document status, right? Here you can move this document that you're making. Also, since it's untitled, you can give it a title here, and it defaults to that first title on that first title page, right? So Cicero, right? And it's saved in my drive. That's nice to know that. You always be in the habit, maybe even especially for things like Google that are automatically saving everything for you, be in the habit of knowing where it's saved, because if something goes wrong and then you can't find it again, that's a problem, right? But it is nice that that Google is saving it for you constantly. This is how you produce the slides. You'll save it from there, and you can upload straight from your Google Drive into Jupyter when it's time to turn things in. All right, guys, I hope that's been helpful. If you have any specific questions for me, or if you've played around and you really just can't figure out how to make something work the way you were hoping to, then please don't be afraid to just send me a quick message, and I'll try to be as helpful as I can. I hope this has been useful for you. I will try to email it out to you, and hopefully that will reach you. I'll try to put something in Jupyter that will catch your attention as well, in case you're getting a little bit swamped with emails. All right, hope everyone's doing well at home. I know we've had a lot of information to kind of get through recently. Don't be afraid. But the way we deal with it we'll keep in mind the amount of time we've actually had to sort of process the information. But we can't, even despite the circumstances, we can't can't end the year without trying to do something special regarding Rome. And I hope this way of doing it, instead of doing a written research paper, is something that you find more fun and enjoyable and a little less burdensome. Good luck keeping your spirits up as we wrap up these last weeks, and we'll talk to you later. Take care.